Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to summarize what I have taught during week 2 to the boys and girls sections of grade 12 in Al Marifa International Private School. This is term 3 and today is the 4th of April 2020. This is Walid's Nusi. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to summarize what I've taught in literature and vocabulary. So, periods 1 and 2, we covered some parts of The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence. And period 3, we covered grammar, the infinitives and infinitive phrases, summary, recap, and we ended the lesson of this infinitive thing. All right, I'm going to share the screen. First, now I'm sharing my screen. This is the text. Of course, it's not the same version, but it's the same text, but it's not the same version as the student's edition. But it's the same text. All right. Week 1, we covered till the conversation that took place between Paul and his mother. They started a conversation about luck and what she thinks luck was for her, and he ended up telling her that he was lucky, he considered himself lucky, and that he's gonna set himself to try to look for his luck. Well, we ended at this point when she told him, "Excellent," said the mother, using one of her husband's exclamations. The boy saw she did not believe him, or rather that she paid no attention to his assertion. This angered him somewhere and made him want to compel her attention. This is very important. This is the stage, the crucial stage, in which the boy will start his crazy quest for his luck, his crazy adventure towards finding luck, proving himself lucky to his mother and to everyone around him. So we're going to read, and at the same time, as you can see, there are certain blue points. I have set them as, hypertexts. Yeah, these hypertexts will lead us to further explanation. All right. So, great. So to compel her attention, he went off by himself, vaguely, in a childish way, seeking for the clue to luck. Absorbed, taking no heed of other people, he went about with a sort of stealth, seeking inwardly for luck. He wanted luck, he wanted it. When the two girls were playing dolls in the nursery, he would sit on his big rocking horse, charging madly into space with a frenzy that made the little girls peer at him uneasily. Okay, nursery here, do not think that this is a nursery in which it's a preschool institution. No. Nursery, let me just, all right. During this period in England, wealthy people usually employed a live-in nanny or babysitter called a nurse to take care of their children. They also set aside a large room or set of rooms called the nursery for the nurse and the children. This area was located away from the rest of the house, so the children's noise wouldn't disturb the adults. The nanny and children spent most of their time there. What does this tell us? It tells us, what type of family we are dealing with. It's a family that has a garden, a fancy garden, a nursery that not everybody, it's a luxury that not every British family possesses. Okay, um, uh, they have handsome kids. The mother herself is very beautiful. The father is very handsome. All right, they have jobs. Yes, the kids enjoy a luxurious lifestyle. Okay, they are not poor at all. Yet there is this feeling of dissatisfaction from the part of the mother, which is going to spread all over the place. And how is it going to spread? It's going to spread through whispering, houses whispers. Okay, so the houses, I'm going to take you back to the houses whispering. There must be more money. There must be more money. And let me grab this attention to talk about the symbolism of whispering or the house's whispers. The house in which Paul's family lives, or more specifically, the voice of the house actually presents itself as a symbol. This is to say, it is not only something more than just a house, but also speaking for itself, as though it has some sort of spirit. This house has some sort of spirit, and there must be more money, whispers the house to at least Paul and his sisters. Then um, every single thing into the house, the walls, the toys, the kids, the parents end up, every single person ends up hearing those whispers, and it ends up tormenting them. Those whispers will end up tormenting them with the greed of their mother and the obsessive materialism of the society in which they live in. It's not just vaguely threatening, for it presents the anxiety in very specific terms. For here, just one grammar clue for everyone. For here, remember, look at the comma before it. This is a coordinating conjunction. If you remember the coordinating conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So, coordinating conjunctions, the fanboys, as you can call them. All right, remember that. Just one grammar point. All right. When do we use coordinating conjunctions? We usually use them after a comma and to attach two independent clauses together to make them one sentence. All right. Let me close this hypertext. Get back to where we were. Yeah, stopped at the nursery. Yeah. Widely, the horse careered. To career, it's to run at full speed, okay? To keep rocking. The waving dark hair of the boy tossed. His eyes had a strange glare in them. The little girls dared not speak to him. When he had ridden to the end of his mad little journey, he climbed down and stood in front of his rocking horse, staring fixedly into its lowered face. Its red mouth was slightly open. Its big eye was wide and glassy bright. Its big eye was wide and glassy bright. So this is the eye of the horse. Remember that. It's very important. The eye of the horse is wide and glassy. Okay. The boy's eyes get, if you remember, let me go back a little bit earlier to the text. They were close set, if you remember. Okay. Close set eyes. Yeah. All right. We'll find the detail later. They will end up being. His eyes had a strange glare in them. Big, white, glassy bright. Okay, the symbolism of the eyes is very important because our author focuses on Paul's eyes in particular, of course, to lead us somewhere. Look here, blue eyes still flaring. Later on, find this other clue. The boy gazed at his uncle from those big hot blue eyes. Let's see this hypertext explanation that I introduced to further understand our text symbolism in it. Lawrence put great emphasis on eyes in the rocking horse winner. Paul's eyes are described as big blue eyes that had an uncanny cold fire in them when he spoke of the whispering of his house. That's earlier. His eyes represent his dreams, his passion, and the futility of his attempts to get luck for his family. The description of Paul's eyes progress from innocence to madness. The development even of the eye's color, okay, leads us from innocence to madness. It's Paul from innocence to madness. Lawrence frequently describes his character's eyes, and uses them as indicators of a character's emotional state. Indeed, we can identify a person's emotional state from his or her eyes. All right, eyes can tell you everything: sadness, anger, excitement, a lot of things it can tell. Disappointment, it can tell us a lot of things. He pays particular attention to Paul's eyes, which undergo a change over the course of the story. When Paul first begins to ride his rocking horse, his eyes are described as being close set and having a strange glare. This is in contrast to the rocking horse's eyes, which are wide set and bright. Remember, we just stopped there. Yeah. As Paul's obsession with luck intensifies, gets stronger, his eyes turn into blue fire. At the end of Paul's life, he is so intensely focused on becoming lucky that his eyes are uncanny or strange and unsettling. Uncanny can also refer to something that is supernatural, and the appearance of Paul's eyes suggests that he has ridden his horse so hard that he has ceased to be human, a normal, healthy one. Yes, he's gonna suffer a lot. He's gonna ride his rocking horse crazily. He'll get crazier and crazier till the extent he exceeds his limit. And this is very unhealthy for him. Let me not ruin the end of the story. All right. Now, yeah. So now he would silently command the snorting steed, "Now take me to where there is luck. Now take me." And he would slash the horse on the neck with the little whip he had asked Uncle Oscar for. He knew the horse could take him to where there was luck. So where would the horse take him? It would take him where there was luck. All right. This detail. If only he forced him. So he's gonna force the horse to where there is luck, and he's gonna compel his mother's attention. Relate that to the other. Relate the act of wanting to compel her attention, wanting to force his horse to where there is luck. They are both related to each other. Yes, this is how he's gonna start. This is how he's gonna get crazy. This is how he's gonna force himself, force his rocking horse to where there is luck, to prove to himself, to prove to his mother that he's lucky. Maybe to change her definition of luck. Okay. And he would slash the horse on the neck with the little whip he had asked Uncle Oscar for. He knew the horse could take him to where there was luck, if only he forced it. So he would mount again and start on his furious ride, hoping at last to get there. He knew he could get there. "You'll break your horse, Paul," said the nurse. "He's always riding like that. I wish he would leave off," said his elder sister, Joan. But he only glared down on them in silence. He never spoke a word. Nurse gave him up. She could make nothing of him. Anyhow, he was growing beyond her. One day his mother and his Uncle Oscar came in when he was on one of his furious rides. He did not speak to them. "Hello, you young jockey, riding a winner," said his uncle. "Riding a winner." Of course, the boy, Paul, is riding his rocking horse. Uncle Oscar calls it a winner, and this leads us to the title, Rocking Horse Winner, because this rocking horse will prove to be a winner in the end. But will it be a safe winner? Will it win and that's it? No, no, no. It's more complicated than you can imagine. Are you growing too big? Aren't you growing too big for a rocking horse? You're not a very little boy any longer, you know, said his mother. The rocking horse here symbolizes several things. I said earlier in previous sessions that it symbolizes innocence, yes, to a certain extent. At the first look, yes, first impression, rocking horse symbolizes innocence, the innocence of a little boy, the harmlessness of a little boy. But later on, when this horse ends up harming Paul, okay, harming him in a way, okay, we will understand that its symbolism exceeds innocence to further details. Okay, let me take you to the explanation. Where is it? Yes. All right. Here. Yes. The rocking horse has multiple symbolic meanings in Lawrence's story. The fact that at the beginning of the story, Paul has a rocking horse but not a tutor is proof of Hester's skewed values. What does that mean? Hester is the mother, okay? Normally, instead of hiring a tutor for him, okay? Instead of hiring somebody to teach him values, to teach him new things, to teach him science, to teach him ethics, okay? She cares more about buying him a rocking horse, a toy that every visitor will appreciate looking at, that every visitor will be impressed. Okay. All right. This gives us a hint at Hester's values. She's very materialistic and prizes her ability to buy her children beautiful Christmas presents more than she values their education. The fact of putting them in a nursery, which is inside the house but a little bit far away at the corner, um, explains to us, hints at her attention or her devotion to her family life, putting them away, playing somewhere, hidden in a corner, not seeing them, not observing them the full day. Well, she's not the perfect mother here, all right? Rocking horses are also toys that children typically age out of, but Paul continues to use his despite the many protests of his family members. Uncle Paul and the mother, they keep telling him, "Aren't you growing older than it?" His attachment to the toy suggests that he is not growing up in a normal way. This innocence is not enjoying its innocence. Although the rocking horse itself is a toy, its form is based on a real horse, an animal that can be wide and difficult to tame. In some ways, Paul might be compared to the rocking horse. He seems innocent, but there is a wide force within him that cannot be controlled. Yes, and this force, by the way, remember that it has been driven by his desire to compel himself to prove to his mother that he's lucky. He rides his rocking horse so fiercely that the seemingly harmless story comes to seem malevolent and powerful, and perhaps even causes Paul's death. Very harmful. From harmlessness to harmfulness. Right. So get back now to the text. Let's finish it, please. Yeah, we stopped at yeah. Paul only gave a blue glare from his big, rather close-set eyes. Here is the detail I was looking for. Remember, close-set eyes. This is very important. Close-set eyes, but look at the horse's eyes. Big eye was wide and glassy bright. Let's see the development of the eye's color, the development of the eye's look in the course of the plot. He would speak to nobody when he was in full tilt, full speed. His mother watched him with an anxious expression on her face. At last, he suddenly stopped forcing his horse into the mechanical gallop and slid down. Well, I got there, he announced fiercely, his blue eyes still flaring and his sturdy long legs struggling upward. Where did he get to? Asked his mother. Where I wanted to go, he flared back at her. That's right, son, said Uncle Oscar. Don't you stop till you get there. What's the horse's name? He doesn't have a name, said the boy. Gets on without all right? Asks the uncle. Well, he has different names. He was called Sansovino last week. Sansovino, eh? Wanda Ascot. How did he know his name? He always talks about horse races with Beset, said Joan, his sister. The uncle was delighted to find that his small nephew was posted with all the racing news. Beset, the young gardener who had been wounded in the left foot in the war and had got his present job through. Oscar Creswell, whose batman he had been, was a perfect blade of the turf. Okay, batman in Britain, a soldier who acts as an officer's servant, and blade of the turf is someone who is very knowledgeable and expert in horse racing, knowledgeable about horse racing. He lived in the racing events, and the small boy lived with him. Oscar Creswell got it all from Beset. Master Paul, now this is Beset speaking, Master Paul comes and asks me, so I can't do more than tell him, sir, said Beset, his face terribly serious, as if he were speaking of religious matters. So I've got a simile here. And does he ever put anything on a horse he fancies? Well, I don't want to give him away. He's a young sport, a fine sport, sir. So I don't want to give him away. This hints at the loyalty of Beset. Beset's loyalty towards Paul. He doesn't want to give him away, to reveal their little secret. Would you mind asking him himself? If you want to know the truth from him, go and talk to him. He sort of takes a pleasure in it, and perhaps he would feel I was giving him away. So, sir, if you don't mind. Beset was serious as a church. Serious as a church. Remember this simile. The uncle went back to his nephew and took him off for a ride in the car to try to get things out of him, to try to reveal what hasn't been revealed. Things are a little bit mysterious to Uncle Oscar. Say, Paul, old man, do you ever put anything on a horse? The uncle asked. The boy watched the handsome man closely. So not only the father is handsome, even the uncle, okay? The uncle who happens to be the brother. Why do you think I oughtn't to? I shouldn't here. By the way, I introduced this, it's not in the text, just to explain to you that oughtn't to is a modal verb. Okay, that means shouldn't. He parried. Why do you think I oughtn't to? He parried. Not a bit of it. I thought perhaps you might give me a tip for the Lincoln. The car sped on into the country, going down to Uncle Oscar's place in Hampshire. Honor bright, said the nephew. Honor bright, on my honor. It also means, if you're speaking honor bright, it means honesty or honest. Honor bright, son, said the uncle. Well then, daffodil. Daffodil, I doubt it, sonny. What about Mirza? I only know the winner, said the boy. That's daffodil. Daffodil, huh? There was a pause. Daffodil was an obscure horse comparatively. Obscure here doesn't mean dark colored. Doesn't mean in the dark, in darkness. No, no, no. An obscure horse, it's a horse that's not famous for winning, that nobody would bet on to win. Okay? Not known. Okay? Uncle, yes, son, you won't let it go any further, will you? I promised Beset. You won't let it go any further. This story of me getting horses' names, okay, right, the winners, getting them in the right way. Don't let it go any further. Beset, be damned, old man. What's he got to do with it? We are partners. We have been partners from the first. Uncle, he lent me my first 5 shillings, which I lost. I promised him honor bright. I promised him on my honor. It was only between me and him. Only you gave me that 10-shilling note I started winning with. So remember that Uncle Oscar gave him the first note he won with. So he will end up thinking that Uncle Oscar is a lucky man. So I thought you were lucky. You won't let it go any further, will you? You won't let it go any further, will you? This is a grammar lesson. Won't, you won't. You won't. So won't is negative. All right. Use the same modal, the same verb, but to end up in a positive way. And then you flip it. Will you? Instead of you won't, you put you will. Here it's negative. This one is positive form. And then you flip, you put you at the end in an interrogative form, in a question form. And you will end up using what we call question tag. It's a grammar lesson. Very important one. Okay. In communication. So what is the usage of this? It's to confirm that the listener is listening to you and agrees with you. All right. For example, it's very cold, isn't it? It's very cold, isn't it? It's. So here the verb to be is, it's positive, isn't is negative, and then it's flipped, put at the back. So it is very cold, comma, isn't it? Question mark. You're very strong. It's you are. So you are very strong. You are. So we put are in the negative in the end, becomes aren't, and then flip, put the you in the end. So you're very strong, aren't you? All right. He's joining us, isn't he? He is, isn't he? He isn't joining us, is he? You shouldn't see a doctor, should you? You see? So if it's positive, you end up using it in the negative form. If it's negative, you end up using it in the positive form. That's question tag lesson. Very briefly, within a few seconds, I explained the grammar lesson. Yeah, sorry for that. I need to stop over and explain a few things while teaching literature. All right, the boy gazed at his uncle from those big, hot blue eyes. Development. You see the development of the color of the eyes? Big, hot blue eyes set rather close together. The uncle stirred and laughed uneasily. Right you are, son. Right you are, son. I'll keep your tip private. Daffodil, huh? How much are you putting on him? All except £20, said the boy. I keep that in reserve. The uncle thought it a good joke. He did not believe that his nephew has got any money. Okay, he told him, I'm gonna bet all my money except 20 pounds. 20 pounds at that time seems to be a lot of money. You keep 20 pounds in reserve, do you? You young romancer? What are you betting then? So, I'm betting 300, said the boy gravely. But it's between you and me, Uncle Oscar. Honor bright? The uncle burst into a roar of laughter. It's between you and me, all right, you young Nat Gold, he said, laughing. Who is Nat Gold is a well-known British horse racing authority and writer. But where's your 300? Beset keeps it for me. We are partners. You are you? And what is Beset putting on Daffodil? He won't go quite as high as I do, I expect. Perhaps he would go 150. What? Pennies? Laughed the uncle. Laughed the uncle. Pounds, said the child with a surprised look at his uncle. Beset keeps a bigger reserve than I do. Between wonder and amusement, he doesn't know whether to believe the child or not. He needs to make sure himself. This is why he's going to join Beset. He's going to take Paul, go to Beset, make sure this information is correct from the mouth of Beset himself. Between wonder and amusement, Uncle Oscar was silent. He pursued the matter no further, but he determined to take his nephew with him to the Lincoln races. Now, son, he said, I'm putting 20 on Mirza, and I'll put 5 on for you on any horse you fancy. What's your pick? Daffodil, uncle. No, not the 5 on Daffodil. I should if it was my only 5, said the child. If it was my only 5. This is conditional. Normally, in standard English, it should be if it were my 5. If it were, why? Because this is conditional, type 2 conditional. If plus simple past, but if it's the verb to be, it would be were with all the subject pronouns. Okay, if I were, if it were, if she were, if they were. But it's not wrong to say if it was. It's not wrong at all. But the regular standard one, use were, please. That's type 2 conditional. So I should if it was my only 5, said the child. So the child insists on betting on Daffodil. Good, right you are. A 5 for me and a 5 for you on Daffodil. The child had never been to a race meeting before, and his eyes were blue fire. Look at the development. He pursued his mouth tight and watched. A Frenchman just in front had put his money on Lancelot. Wild with excitement, he flayed his arms up and down, yelling, Lancelot, Lancelot, in his French accent. Daffodil came in first, Lancelot second, Mirza third. Mirza was chosen by Uncle Oscar. By the way, the child, flushed and with eyes blazing, was curiously serene. His uncle brought him 4 5-pound notes, 4 to 1, 4 5-pound notes. 4 5-pound notes. This is, I taught this before, it's compound adjective, if you remember. So 5, it's 4 notes of 5 pounds each. So 5 is number, pound is noun. Hyphenated that hyphen, okay, and no plural for the noun. So it's number plus noun, all right, and never put the noun in plural form. What am I to do with these? He cried, waving them before the boy's eyes. I suppose we'll talk to Beset, said the boy. I expect I have 1,500 now and 20 in reserve. And this 20. His uncle studied him for some moments, studying him, not believing him, trying to believe him. Look here, son, he said. You're not serious about Beset and that 1,500, are you? Yes, I am, but it's between you and me, uncle. Honor bright? On a brighter right, son, but I must talk to Beset. If you'd like to be a partner, uncle, with Beset and me, we could all be partners. Only you would have to promise. So why is he asking his uncle Oscar to join them as a partner? It's because he thinks that Uncle Oscar is a lucky person. He was the first person to give him the 10-shilling note with which he bet on horse. And he won. That was his first winning. Okay? Bassett and I are lucky. And you must be lucky. Because it was your 10 shillings I started winning with. Uncle Oscar took both Bassett and Paul into Richmond Park for an afternoon. And there they talked. It's like this, you see, sir, Bassett said. Master Paul would get me talking about racing events, spinning yarns, you know, sir. And he was always keen on knowing if I'd made or if I'd lost. It's about a year since now that I put 5 shillings on Blush of Dawn for him, and we lost. Then the luck turned. When did his luck turn? When he received the first 10-shilling note from his uncle, from his lucky Uncle Oscar. Then the luck turned with that 10 shillings he had from you that we put on Sinhalese. And since that time, it's been pretty steady, all things considering. What do you say, Master Paul? We are all right when we are sure, said Paul. It's when we are quite sure that we go down. Sorry, it's when we are not quite sure that we go down. What does that mean? It means that when they are not sure of the winner of the horse's name, then they go down, which means they bet using a little amount of money. Oh, but we are careful then, said Bassett. But when are you sure? Smiled Uncle Oscar. It's Master Paul, sir, said Bassett in a secret, religious voice. So this is the third simile or metaphor that our author describes Bassett. So this is the third time describing Bassett's tone as a religious, serious voice or a religious, serious one. He looked as serious as a church, if you remember. It's as if he had it from heaven, like daffodil now for the Lincoln. That was as sure as eggs, which means that was very sure. Did you put anything on daffodil? Asked Oscar Creswell. Yes, sir, I made my bid. And my nephew? Bassett was obstinately silent, looking at Paul. I made 1,200, didn't I, Bassett? I told Uncle I was betting 300 on daffodil. That's right, said Bassett, nodding. But where is the money? Asked the uncle. I keep it safe locked up, sir. Master Paul, he can have it any minute he likes to ask for it. What? £1,500? And 20 and 40. That is, with the 20 he made on the horse. It's amazing, said the uncle. If Master Paul offers you to be partner, sir, I would if I were you. If you'll excuse me, said Bassett. Remember, if I were you. All right. Sorry for the interruption. So remember this, if I were you. Remember, conditional conditional grammar structure. All right. Type 2 conditional if plus simple past. But if this simple past is of the verb to be, it has to be were with all the subject pronouns. Okay. But it's not wrong to say if I was you, as I clarified earlier. Oscar Creswell thought about it. I'll see the money, he said. They drove home again, and sure enough, Bassett came round to the garden house with £1,500 in notes. The £20 reserve was left with Joe Glee in the Turf Commission deposit. You see, it's all right, Uncle, when I'm sure. Then we go strong. For all we are worth, don't we, Bassett? That is the end of what I have covered in literature. I clarified the symbolism of the rocking horse. the symbolism of the house's whispers, and the symbolism of Paul's blue eyes. 3 symbols I have covered. I also clarified a few points about the character, Hester, the mother, about the relationship between the mother and the son, and how he is forcing himself beyond his limits in order to prove to his mother that he's a lucky person. I hope my explanation has been clear. Now I'm going to move on to what I covered during period 3, which is grammar. Okay, I'm going to move on to another page. I'm going to share another screen. I'm really sorry for any inconvenience. All right. Last week, I covered, yes, this. I covered the infinitive. I gave sentences 6 to 15 as homework. Then we covered from 1 to 5. I made sure everyone understood the infinitive phrase. I explained the rule that the infinitive or the infinitive phrase functions as an adjective, as a noun, or as an adverb. I explained that. We understood all this, and then I gave from 6 to 10 as a homework assignment. With some classes, I have been able to continue. With others, I gave it as a homework assignment. Then we are left with infinitives and infinitive phrases. This is a chapter review, sorry. Okay, let's just go right away to the answer key to clarify things right away. Let's go. This is our answer key, the infinitive, as you can see, infinitives and infinitive phrases. All right. So exercise A, if you go to, let's go back first to page 64. 64. And here, yeah, these are the sentences from 1 to 10. To go to law school, it's my goal. So to go to law school is our infinitive phrase. Chucha is happy to be part of the Zuni ceremony. Ceremony, we can pronounce it ceremony or ceremony. Ceremony, ceremony. Okay, to be part of the Zuni ceremony is the infinitive phrase. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what they function as. In the answer key, we will see them. All right, many Cubans immigrated to the United States after the 1959 revolution. To, as you can see, to plus verb, to the United States after. So here, to the United States, to here, it's a preposition, it's not infinitive. If it is infinitive, where is the verb? It must be to plus verb. There's no verb here. So number 3, there is none. Imala spoke to her teacher about an independent study project. Spoke to her teacher. There is no verb. It should be, to come, to arrive, to leave, to study, to investigate, to plus verb. Here, to her teacher. Her is a pronoun and teacher is a noun. There's no to infinitive. Okay, so this is the exercise. It's asking us to underline the infinitive or the infinitive phrase and then to explain their functions. Okay, so let me go back to the answer key to make it faster. 368. Yes. So to go to law school is go. So this functions as a noun. If it answers the question what, it functions as a noun. So what is my goal? It's to go to law school. So this is a noun. Chucha is happy to be part of the Zuni ceremony or ceremony. So to be part of the Zuni ceremony or ceremony describes the word happy. Happy is an adjective. So what describes the adjective is an adverb. So this functions as an adverb. As we also have seen, number 3, there's none. No infinitive phrase. And number 4, there's none. Number 5, the seamstress likes to see the needlework done by her talented son. So the seamstress likes what? She likes to see. She likes, for example, the seamstress likes sewing machines. Likes plus noun. So if you can replace it with a noun, then that infinitive phrase functions as a noun. Number 6, because of a howling wind and creaking shutters, Jamila was unable to sleep. Unable to sleep. Unable to do what? Unable to sleep. So to sleep describes the adjective unable. So if the infinitive phrase describes the adjective, it functions as an adverb, just like the word happy here. It's an adjective. So if it describes the adjective, it's an adverb. Number 7, the player to emulate is manual. So to emulate describes the player. The player is noun, so to emulate is an adjective, because adjectives describe nouns or pronouns. Halfway across the rock face, Mina began to lose her footing. She began something. She began something. So what did she begin? If it answers the question what, then it is a noun. It functions as an object. It's not a subject, but it's still a noun. All right, number 8. Number 9, if you ask me, this little gray kitten should be eager to go home with you. To go home with you describes, as you can see, the neighboring adjective, which is eager. So that functions as an adverb. And the last one, Chantal and Ricky have both offered to help with the park cleanup. So what did they offer? What did they offer? If it answers the question, what, then it is a noun. They offered to help with the park cleanup. What did they offer? They offered food. What did they offer? They offered money. What did they offer? They offered help. So if you can replace the infinitive phrase with another noun, it functions as a noun. All right. Exercise B. Let me get back, please, to last exercise. Follow the instructions to write sentences that contain infinitives or infinitive phrases. So he has asked us to use dream as a noun, to dream as a noun, to keep as an adjective, to travel as an adverb, to listen as a noun, and to leave as an adverb. I'm going to go to page 368 again to the answer key, and here are examples. Okay. The infinitive, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, exactly. So, number 1, one of my favorite pastimes is to dream about my future. So it answers the question, what? So what is one of my favorite pastimes? It is to dream about my future. So it answers the question, what? This is why it is. Yeah, this is why. I'm checking the time, I'm sorry. This is why it functions as a noun. So to dream about my future functions as a noun. And if you want to go deeper, it functions as a noun, as a predicate nominative. Number 12, place the bruised apples over there. These are the ones to keep. The ones to keep. To keep describes ones. Ones is noun. To keep describes the noun. So to keep is an adjective. All right. And notice this one. Semicolon. The semicolon has been used to link between two independent clauses. If the second part is dependent, the use of the semicolon is absolutely wrong. Okay, place the bruised apples over there. This is a complete sentence. These are the ones to keep. It's another complete sentence. Never use the semicolon to separate between an independent and a dependent clause. Remember that. Always, I can't help myself explaining further details, grammar, pronunciation, punctuation, mechanics of writing, while explaining the main lesson, which happens to be either grammar or literature. You see, it's something within another thing. All right, I can't help it, I'm sorry. I will be happy to travel with you this summer. To travel with you this summer describes the adjective happy. So to travel with you this summer describes the adjective, so it functions as an adverb. Wise people have learned to listen with an open mind. Have learned something to listen with an open mind. Sorry. So wise people have learned Spanish. Wise people have learned the art of war. Wise people have learned chess. So I can replace this infinitive phrase with a noun. This is why it functions as a noun. Are you ready to leave? This is the last one. Are you ready to leave? Ready. So to leave describes ready. Ready is an adjective. So to leave is an adverb. Very beautiful. I hope my explanation has been clear. I hope. Okay. Yeah, let me stop sharing. Yeah, I hope the explanation has been clear. I hope my summary has covered most of the things, most of the materials that I have taught during week 2, term 3, grade 12 students in a Marif International Private School. All right. If you have got any further questions, if you have got any inquiries, contact me either via Edmodo for the students who are listed and who are subscribed, or via the school portal. All right. It's been a pleasure teaching you all. Stay safe, please. See you safe and sound. Have a great weekend.